Bitcoin is creating new all-time highs, and also we do see Ethereum breaking out of this bull flag formation. And at the same time, also CRO is setting the first green weekly close since August. A lot of things are happening, guys, so don't forget to strap in and let's find out. This video is sponsored by Wolfswap and their Wolfie NFTs. 5,212 unique NFTs launching on the 7th of October. If you love crypto, these are truly some very exciting times because today, as we're recording, Bitcoin is trying to set an even higher all-time high at about $125,000. So it's looking very good for Bitcoin, but also for altcoins like, for example, Ethereum and our beloved CRO token. But in this video, I want to also talk about the pathway really towards that all-time high for Bitcoin and also for CRO in this specific cycle. So don't forget, guys, to strap in and of course also hit that like button. Having said that, let's talk a bit more about the other Bitcoin chart as well, because it's the perfect example here of how you can use technical analysis in your own advantage. So what we have here, what I'm talking about, is the megaphone pattern for quite so many live streams and also some videos. So anyone wondering what's the megaphone setup like? Well, it looks like a megaphone here. And we do have multiple touches on both these ends. So you can see here 1, 2, and also here 1, 2, before we get to an eventual breakout or breakdown. Luckily, we had, of course, a bullish entrance, and therefore this is a bullish megaphone. And I will quickly show you also why I think that's the case here, because what we see, 1, 2 tests on the downside and also 1, 2 tests on the upside before we have a final test here on the middle zone, really the pivot zone of the megaphone. So really, guys, a perfect example of how you can use this megaphone structure to expect really a bullish breakout. So far, guys, this is playing out, but I do believe that Bitcoin can fly a lot higher from this point onward. And it's also the perfect oxygen for a fire for altcoins, because without really pumping Bitcoin, Ethereum can have a hard time. We've seen that many times in the past as well. But what I want to show you guys on the weekly chart here for Ethereum as well is just simply perfect. We've had this years long, literally years long. We're talking about 3 years at this point for this trend line. And you can see we have many touches here on this line, 1, 2, 3, and finally a breakout. And last week, we had a test here, a test right on this trend line, really showing that this is support. This has now been cemented as support, and therefore we can continue flying. And we talked about this in the intro, but I think there's a case to be made here that this is a perfect example of a bull flag. So we have 1, the bull pole here, and finally also we can see the actual flag. It's pointing downwards like a typical bull flag does. And then finally we can see here, the next candle is actually an escape to the upside. But of course, guys, this can still be a fake out, but it's looking very good so far for Ethereum. And a nice thing about a bull flag, guys, that we can actually create an expectation. What's our target? Well, we can use the bull flag. So we're going to copy the bull pole here. We're going to move it over to the breakout point. And the breakout point is exactly at about $4,500. And then our target for Ethereum would be at about $8,000. And I would say $8,000 is actually quite reasonable. Many people are talking about an $8,000 Ethereum. So I also think this, guys, is quite likely to play out once more. We talk so much about Ethereum because it's a key ingredient to get to a new all-time high also for the CRO token. And I think this tweet of mine explains it a bit better. So we have seen now a Bitcoin all-time high, and I do expect soon also the Ethereum all-time high, and finally also the CRO all-time high, and also in this exact order. You can see here the crypto money flow cycle has always been the same. We always go from fiat into Bitcoin. That's the first part really of the pump. This is what the smart money does. Then we go from Bitcoin into the large caps. So I expect after Bitcoin, Ethereum to start moving once more. And already it went to an all-time high, but truly needs to break above $5,000. And then we have the mid caps. And I do expect, guys, that CRO being about top 20, top 25 is a mid cap like that. Last cycle, we're talking about Polygon. Well, Polygon is now, I think, getting to the small cap tokens. but really Cronos will pump after Ethereum. That's at least the typical move for altcoins here. Then we have the small caps. You might be talking about Cronos memes, Cronos utility tokens, Push, Moon, whatever. And then finally, we go back into Bitcoin and fiat. That's, guys, how we try to really maximize our wealth in this cycle. And I do believe that this playbook is once again playing out. And let's talk a bit more about CRO specifically after the quick word of today's sponsor. Wolfswap, the biggest dApp on the Cronos chain, is launching their own official NFT collection, the Wolfies. 2,212 unique NFTs on the Cronos chain that also will grant you exclusive perks within the whole Wolfswap ecosystem. And even better, guys, it's also powered by our own Moon token. If you decide to burn a Wolfie NFT, you'll get Moon token in return. So all in all, guys, working greatly together. They will be launching on the 7th of October, so very, very soon. Check out the link in the description down below to learn more. Anyways, let's talk some more now about the CRO token, because I know everybody loves the Bitcoin all-time high, but the majority of you guys out there do not hold a significant amount of Bitcoin in your portfolio. We checked this in a recent poll in our live streams, but if you have some Bitcoin, guys, let me know, please, in the comments down below. So for CRO specifically, what we do see here is the first green candle since August. And that's true. You can see we have had quite a good period here. But after that, the whole month of September, red, 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 red. And then finally, after testing this trend line here on the rainbow chart, we do see the first bit of a bounce here. And we can see quite a decent reversal candle here in the green. And so far, the month is starting with a small green candle as well in October. So it's looking quite good so far for the CRO token. Is this a true reversal? It's still a bit too early to tell, but I think it is looking quite good because once more, we're kind of continuing the trend as well. You can see, right, we have been setting this trend line here. So if we can actually keep moving up like this, I would be actually quite glad. So I do hope, guys, we'll see a bit of a continuation of the pump, because then we are again back on track with this uptrend. For some people, though, this uptrend isn't quick enough. They expected CRO already to be at about 80 cents, maybe already $1. But honestly, if you take a look really at the time in the cycle theory, that is not really realistic. What we've seen so far in the history of CRO is that CRO starts performing really after Bitcoin sets that new all-time high. What we've seen so far is that we get first a Bitcoin all-time high, probably in October somewhere, and then in November we can expect a CRO all-time high to occur. And I can show you also quickly how that happened, because when Bitcoin previously set an all-time high, that was already back in 2022 here. We're talking about the 8th of November, I believe, the 8th of November for Bitcoin. Where was CRO trading? CRO was trading way, way below that $1 level as well. You can see on the 8th of November, it started moving up already. So I do believe, guys, that leading up to this Bitcoin all-time high, we'll see also some continuation really for CRO to climb up. But the true sprint from about 30 cents all the way to $1, and this, guys, is a logarithmic chart, so it doesn't look as special, but this, guys, is a big, big move. We're talking about 200%. That final big parabolic move is typically after the Bitcoin all-time high. So I do also expect that if we continue going up, let's say we go up with this trend line, so we slowly move back up again, and let's say we maybe even go towards 40 cents once more, and after that, only after that, we can actually see that parabolic move to the upside. So that's really, guys, what I'm personally expecting based, again, on historic returns. But as always, this is no financial advice, and also history can be different. We've seen multiple examples of how things can play out differently. But what I'm also very bullish about is that so far, Bitcoin, CRO Bitcoin, is holding on quite well to this specific line here. This is the previous all-time low. And so far, CRO Bitcoin has been bouncing quite nicely on this trend line for quite some time. You can see here, so far, 1, 2 tests so far on this trend line or the support line, and we have been holding on. Some people say that Bitcoin dominance might actually go a bit higher. That might be the case, guys, but it's also possible that soon we start with that final fall down to actual new lows really in this cycle regarding Bitcoin dominance. That's really when altcoins can start to shine. right as we've seen back in 2021. So guys, I'm actually quite bullish about what's possible now for Bitcoin dominance, and therefore also indirectly with CRO and also, of course, Ethereum. Later this week, we're also going to do a deep dive really into the RSI levels and the MACD for CRO specifically in our monthly time to buy video. So if you want to see that, don't forget to, of course, hit the like button and strap in for that video. And if you can't wait, I also have different CRO videos ready for you to watch as well.